Welcome to the website review stream. Today, we have a special live event for you. I'm partnering here with James over from WTC Creative, where we're going to be reviewing and giving free actual advice and tools and strategies to help you improve your writer or author website. So if you want your website to be reviewed today, we already have a couple submissions that we're eager to hop into. We're going to be going over each of the websites. So if you want your writer or author website reviewed, click on the link. Now I'm going to be pinning the link in the comments. If you're here in YouTube, it's pinned, and I'm going to drop it once again in the comments for all y'all. So follow the link, submit, and we will be reviewing your author website. Now, before we hop into writing websites, just a quick introduction. I'm Kaufman. This is my daily writing live stream, and I'm a crazy daily live streamer where I do writing sprints for almost 180 days and counting. And James, I'm going to throw it over to you. Why don't you introduce yourself to our audience?
All right. My name is James Adams, and I am part owner of WTC Creatives. I am a partner with my wife. I'm the one that handles all the technical stuff, while the wife handles all the writing, the copy piece of websites when people need that kind of stuff done. I've been doing web design since 1998. Off and on. So I've got a lot of experience doing the various websites, all the way from HTML all the way up through Web 2.0 now.
So you definitely have quite a lot of experience there.
Yep. Yeah, I have just a little bit.
I was like, I got my baby website. For those of you who haven't checked it out before, I'm throwing my website up to be completely annihilated. I'm telling you now, James, like, just give me like the worst feedback. Be like, if we open it, like, oh, I'm blinded. I'm good with that.
So he's volunteering to have his website roasted, so none of you actually have to do that.
Exactly, right? We're going to go super kind on your guys' website. As y'all know, for those of you who join us on the Saturday stream, the Story and Critique Show, I am of the mindset of I like give helpful, constructive feedback. So good feedback and helpful feedback. I believe all feedback is good feedback. It just comes down to the way that we communicate it. But I've clarified my expectations to James already, so I know what to expect. So nothing will surprise me.
Well, until I get to his website.
If there's like any good things about it, I'm like, yeah, all right, nice success there. All right. So before we hop into it, James, why don't you go over what the format of this is going to look like today before we start reviewing some of the websites we've received?
So essentially what we'll start off with is we'll kind of do a website 101. So when any writer or author is looking at trying to get a website done, or even if they've already gotten one done, there are just certain questions that you want to ask yourself and get those answers just to make sure that you're setting up your website to best promote what it is that you're wanting to offer to the people that are coming to your website. So there's just certain questions that you need to ask yourselves right out of the gate in order to be able to kind of formulate and plan out how best to lay your website out when you actually get to the point of building it. Shall I continue?
Awesome. Yeah, I was like,
I'm giving the introduction here, and then after that, we're going to get to the roasting of the websites.
What I'm doing is I'm making sure that all of our viewers, whether regardless of what platform you're coming from, can go follow the website link. So once again, let me throw this up. If you want your website reviewed, follow the link below. Click on the link. All it's going to ask you for is the name of your website, your name, and any details you want us to pay attention to during the website review. Welcome. We're streaming to 5 platforms today. If you're coming from YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, LinkedIn, or X, glad to have all y'all here. So bear with me just a second. Let me make sure all of you have access to the link, and then we will get started. So James, while I'm setting up on my end, what as a general overview, what are some of like the basic things that you look for when when digging into like a website? Do you have like a basic formula when you first
Yeah.
start?
So basically, when I'm doing a website review, essentially what I do is I'll have a conversation with whoever owns the website to kind of get an idea
Mhm.
of what their vision is for it.
Okay.
Because without the idea of their vision, it's hard to really take a website at face value and go, okay, so here's what you need to do to improve it. I
Okay.
essentially do that, and then once I've done and I understand what their vision is, then I go in and I look at their website from their top navigation all the way down to their footer. And then I look at the subsequent subpages that are associated with it if they have multiple pages, in order to
Okay.
try and give them feedback on how best to set it up, lay it out, and the right types of information that they will need on each of the pages in order to make the greatest impact.
Interesting. Okay, so it sounds like a huge factor of it
Mhm.
is whoever's website it is their goal and their intention is a huge factor in your
Yes.
overall like, analysis of it.
Yes, because basically, when you're going through the process, and even if you haven't got a website yet and you're thinking
Mhm.
about it, that's one of the questions that you want to ask yourself is basically, what is the purpose of your website?
Okay.
Being an author or writer, of course, the website, everybody immediately goes to oh, well, I want to promote and sell my books. But that's not everything that encompasses what you're doing. You
Mhm.
could very well be offering coaching services or editing services. You could be offering different types of writing, such as blurbs or copyright, things like that. So there's a lot of
Mhm.
different things that you could potentially be offering, as well as selling merchandise. So then you want to kind of figure out, it's like, okay, for my website, these are the things that I want to make sure that a person coming to my website knows that they can get. This is the value that I'm offering to them. And so this website needs to not only promote that, but make those pieces stand out to the people as they come to your website. And then,
Interesting.
yep.
Okay.
And the other question you want to do is like along the same lines is like, what is your focus of your website? Do you want to focus the website on you as a brand, because some
Mhm.
authors are more, they've got that recognition, or
Okay.
there's new authors that want that name recognition. So do you want it about you? Do you want it about your books, or do you want it about your business? So there's three different
Okay.
avenues that you can focus in on. And when I talk about like the focus is, I talk about the focus in terms of what is on that front page above the fold. The second somebody
Okay.
types in your web address, the first thing that pops up and hits them in the face is what you want
Okay.
to make sure that the focus is.
Interesting. Those are some really great points. And this is just a curiosity factor on my
Sure.
point. When you go to some of these like maybe some like bigger companies like professional websites, when I think of like Apple or Disney or Tesla, some of these major ones, can you usually tell what their like goal is from just like this professional? They probably pay people a lot of money just from like a first glance. Can you tell what like the goal is?
You can by
Mhm.
basically what they have predominantly built in above the fold.
Okay.
So that
Gotcha. Okay.
hero image, or
Mhm.
what we consider is the information above the fold, is where the primary focus of that business's website is about. And then
Mhm.
everything that happens below that is things that are designed to reinforce what is defined within that hero image, if that makes sense.
Interesting. Okay. Well, that sounds super excited. I'm like eager to get into some of the websites. Before we hop into it, let me real quick just welcome Bethany. Glad to have you here in the stream. Alcides, welcome, welcome. We got to dig into his script last weekend as well. That was pretty fun. So welcome to the stream. And those of you who are watching, once again, if you want feedback on your website, I have now pinned and posted the link for the submission form on each of the platforms. So Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, and X. So make sure that you submit, and we're going to be hopping right into it. Hey, welcome, Soul. We'll be hopping into your website in just a little bit. And while we're queuing up this first website, What we'll do is I'll start with mine because I want you guys to see, like, we'll go hardcore on mine. It's I'm fine with that. I've asked James to tear it apart because I want it to serve as an example of things that do and don't work. I'm no website designer. I've just taught myself through research, and there's that. So, but Bethany had a great question here for you, James. Bethany was saying, when's the best time to make an author's website?
Like yesterday. The reason why you want to focus in on getting the website done sooner rather than later is because you want to begin building your audience and your community before you ever have a book. That's part of it. It's all a part of that marketing strategy that you want to try and adopt. And so having that website there, you can have people refer to the website. They can get a little bit of information, get those little teasers about what your books are about, things like that. And so it kind of helps them to get to know who you are as an author. It also gives them a chance to get to know what your books are going to be about, so they can make the decision of whether or not they're going to sign up for your newsletter or follow you on Facebook or follow you on YouTube, wherever it is that you're wanting from a social media perspective, wherever it is that you're wanting them to be able to go in order to help you build your community. That's where those websites really become keys. And the other thing is that if the website is done correctly and is done properly with SEO, which is search engine optimization, your websites actually start appearing in searches. And so people that are searching out, like one of the examples that I've got is an author's website that I did, and she's an arcane punk author. She's ranked on page 1 of Google when you search for arcane punk. And so she's getting a lot of organic traffic coming to her website for people who are looking for arcane punk authors. So that's a part of it too, is that, you set up your website, but you want to make sure that it's optimized appropriately to where it appears in search appropriately, high up in the rankings, to where people find you organically and just show up on your website. So yes, yesterday, that's the best time.
Absolutely. And it looks like Bethany followed up to that. So I can make one as in writing before the book is ready.
Yes. Yeah, you can definitely do that. When I started talking to you earlier about what the focus of the website is, whether it's about you or your book or your business, for authors that don't have a book that's published, you can start off by making the focus of it about you as the author. So giving background about who you are and things to make sure that they know who it is that you are, and they can actually become fans of you as a person. And then they'll, by proxy, look at what your books and what you're offering, and you can kind of make that snowball roll from that point on.
Absolutely agreed. And I know from a couple weekends ago, Bethany, I don't know if you checked it out or not. I did an episode, one of the podcast episodes, with a publishing industry expert with the Writing Ghost. And I know one of the things that she touched upon was that the whole marketing strategy for a book begins once you start the editing process, because there's so many factors that you need to go through. And I think about for myself and Last Scarecrow, I'm like, all right, if I want to be successful, I need the world to know about my book by launch day. Right. And the only way I'm going to do that is the website's part of that. Right. So I would absolutely agree with that. Okay. So let's get into the website. So for those of you, I encourage you to ask questions. Keep the questions coming. I'll find time for more questions in between some of these websites. Okay. So James, let's hop into the first one. We'll hop into mine. We'll roast it. Once again, we don't need to take too much time into it, but I want to give our audience just an example of what to expect.
Okay. Yeah, I've got your website pulled up. So if you can pull me up on the screen.
So let me pull it up here. And
there we go.
Let's see. I could have sworn actually I had updated it actually.
I don't know.
Interesting. Try refreshing it. Refresh the page.
Let's refresh it.
So I'm like, I think, yeah, there we go.
Oh,
I was like, I knew this would be better.
Okay. Okay. So we'll start
Right.
off with the website. Starting off at the top. So anytime I'm doing any kind of review, I start off here at the top. So at the top, we can see that he's got navigation.
Okay.
And you've got your logo, and then you've got the name of the website there. There's a lot of spacing between the Creative Ghost and your logo. I would make that a little bit closer together.
Okay.
And possibly balance them out, because the logo is really, really big and Creative Ghost is small. So making that more balanced would be a lot better from a logo perspective. As far as your navigation is concerned, it's okay. Having multiple layers of navigation is never really a good idea. You want to make sure that it's on one solid line as opposed to two. And the reason why is because if you have drop-down menus, so say like under your services and pricing, if you were to do a drop-down menu describing your services, like you broke them into separate pages, it would go over top of your creative blog, and then they wouldn't be able to click on that. So, and with it close like this, when you get into the mobile side, it will also impact the closeness of inadvertently clicking, because you're using fingers to click on that. So you want to make sure that you're really careful about that.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Yep. And then we're going to go over to the right-hand side where all of your socials are. Now, here's a no-no. When you think about how people in the United States and basically in the West, how we read from top to bottom, left to right. Okay. And so what's happening is that if you have your socials here, what's happening is they come here, they read the Creative Ghost, they see your menu, and they're like, oh, YouTube. Oh, well, geez, let me go ahead and click over to YouTube.
It gets them to leave the website, doesn't it?
Yes. You don't want them leaving the website.
That makes sense, actually.
Yes. So the socials need to be at the bottom. They need to be a part of the footer, not a part of the header. You want to make sure that you're keeping them on the website all the way down the screen, and not giving them any opportunities to jump off onto, Facebook or YouTube or Instagram or Medium. Unless you want to drive them there. If the purpose, and again, it goes back to that purpose. If the purpose of your website is to drive them to other platforms, then yes, you want them to be at the top and you want them to be prominent. You may even want to have additional buttons like right down here below with the same thing. You want to reiterate that, right? So that's the idea. When I start talking about, well, what's your focus and what do you want your website to convey? That's what you want it to convey.
Interesting. Okay.
Now, when we go a little bit further down, we can see that you removed your scrolling banner.
Yeah, I just moved it down because I felt like it wasn't like clear on what the website was about.
Yeah. Now, as far as your hero section or you're above the fold, you want to make sure that the information is contained within it. So where you're having your problem here is like you've got the initial box that has your text, but then your video is cut half off.
So you think that video should be on the top as the opening image? Like
if I was going to, so for me, if I was going to do a video like what you've got, I would split screen it. So I would take this right here, the top
on the left.
I would move it to the left, move the video over to the right. That way, again, top to bottom, left to right. So you put the text on the left. That way they read the text and then they click on the video.
That totally makes sense. I think I had that originally, but then I adjusted it because I want them to be clear on what the website was about. But that makes sense.
Yep. And then we scroll down and then we have your scrolling.
It's like my little scrolling banner section. I recognize one of the missed opportunities for it right now is I need to create call to action buttons on them.
Yeah. And actually you need to have call to action buttons up here too.
Okay.
Above the fold, you need to have a call to action button, and that call to action button needs to be what you are, what your goal is, right? So typically with an author or a writer, the goal is that you want to build a community, and how you build a community is you get people on your newsletter. Okay. So above the fold, you want to make sure that there is a call to action for them to be able to sign up to your newsletter. Okay. And a lot of people, people are nowadays are really being inundated with a lot of emails. So you want to make them want to be a part of your newsletter to get your emails. And so typically what you'll do is you want to offer to your reader a reader magnet, which would be a short story. So for anybody that's writing a current story, pick a side story or pick some sub characters that are a part of your story and do a 2, 3, 4, at most 5 chapter short story about their backstory or whatever the case may be. And then you offer that for free if they sign up for your newsletter. And that gives, it's 2 things. So 1, it gets members to sign up for your newsletter. And 2, it gives them value because they're actually able to read a side story or a backstory related to your world that you're trying to create with your book.
Interesting. And when you say like a call to action button at the top, is it basically like if I were to reformat this, would it be next to my the header? The header
so I can give you a couple of them. So like this website here, I did, right? When you get below, right here, immediately join the newsletter.
Oh, just near the top of the website. Gotcha.
Yes. I see. You want to make sure that no matter where you're at, any of the websites I've designed, here we go. This is a link.
So the call to action is near the top.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think my closest call to action is 4 or 5 sections down. Okay.
Yeah. You want to make sure. And the thing is that you don't want to be stingy with your calls to action. So like this website here, call to action. You scroll down.
No, the call to action. Call to action. I see.
So there's multiple calls to action. There's a minimum of 2, one at the and one at the bottom. If you've got a lot of information on your homepage, you want to throw one in the middle. The idea is that you want to give them every single opportunity that as they're going down your web page, that they have the ability to sign up for your website, sign up for your newsletter. If it's like the short story that you're offering is what entices them, or it's the services that you offer that will entice them, whatever it may be, you want to give them as many possible chances they can in order to sign up for your newsletter.
So do you think it would be effective with the scrolling banner section, do you think this is an effective strategy to add call to action buttons for each of those? I was like, because I see like popular websites. I was like, okay, do it something that's kind of like moving visual so new viewers can see all the things that are going on with the company.
Yeah. No, I would not do them. I wouldn't do multiple calls to action on your homepage. The reason why is because you end up with a situation of paralysis by analysis. Because then they're like, well, do I want to join the newsletter? Do I want to go and sign up for this? Or the more options you give them, the more opportunity is that they're not going to click on anything. So you want to make sure that your call to action is straightforward, concise, and is consistent all the way down.
Gotcha. Okay.
As far as scrolling banner, having moving text and things like that, those are good. The only thing that I would say as far as this banner is concerned is that there is a noticeable skip when it restarts.
I know. That was the
so that kind of throws you off when you're looking through this. The other thing to keep in mind when you're talking about anything related to scrolling banners or carousels, stuff like that, is that when people are going down your website, what you're doing is you're asking them as a potential visitor to sit here and wait in this one spot for everything to scroll by. And people aren't going to do that. They want to get through the information. So sitting here and waiting you're going to get a lot of people that'll get turned off. So they'll just kind of steer away. Okay. So it's just something to kind of keep in your mind that when you're talking about banners and stuff, that you want to be careful about that. You don't want to have
what would so for websites that do banners successfully in this type of format, what does success look like then for banners?
So banners would be something like this.
Okay. Oh, where they can scroll through it themselves, essentially, if they want.
So they have the ability to scroll through.
Gotcha. Okay.
And they can learn about whatever it is that they need to learn. These are a lot better because they're not something that they have to wait on. It gives them the control. Yeah, I see what you're saying. That makes sense. Yeah, so it's not something that they actually have to sit there and wait for it to pull up. They can actually go straight to it. So it makes navigation a lot more simplistic for them, because you want to make them you want to make your navigation as easy as humanly possible. You don't want to make you don't want to set up any kind of navigation or problems that will make things difficult, because the second it becomes difficult for your website visitor, they're going to bounce.
Okay, that totally makes sense.
Yep. And then down here, you've got your services, sort of. So you've got hire professional, and then you've got your story, which is about you, and then motivation, which is more about your YouTube and what you're trying to do, motivate, and then your portfolio. For an author, I would look at making sure that your story is not only here, but it's also at the top as an about link.
And yeah, I originally had this one as the first section at the top of it, but then I was like, I didn't know if it was like, I feel like it didn't make it clear what the website was about. So I've been moving it down. Yeah.
And that's the thing is like, you don't want it to be predominant unless you want the website about you. So if you are the focus of the website, then of course you want you to be at the top, and you want the calls to action at the top to be going to your about page.
Okay. That totally makes sense. Okay.
And if you want it focused in on your books, then you want to be able to display your books prominently, and then them to be able to click on a call to action button in there that takes them to the books.
Okay.
So you just want to make sure that the navigation, again, is simple. You don't want to jar them by them seeing a book at the top of your web page and they click on the learn more button and it takes them to an about page about the author. It's very disjointing for them, and they're not going to want to sit around because it doesn't look professional. It doesn't navigate.
Gotcha. Okay. That totally makes sense. Okay.
So then you've got your services here. Then you've got your easy edit tool. And so you're presenting an offering for them to sign up. And that's a good thing. Again, because their email address is one of the most valuable things that you can obtain from them. And so you want to make sure that you entice them enough to where they want to actually sign up. And I can tell you from experience with doing some of the websites with the authors, the authors that I have done that have offered something in return for their email, a tool, chapters, whatever the case may be, a magnet of sorts, have had a huge amount of success in getting people signing up for their newsletters, as opposed to somebody that just throws up, hey, sign up for my newsletter.
I completely agreed. When I remember when I was doing research for newsletters, that was one of the initial reasons that I created the editing tool, because I know there's a lot of writers out there hate editing. So I'm like, all right, let's I'm of the weird belief that I'm like, I have fun editing, but once again, I'm a weirdo. Like, no, not everyone enjoys it.
And then here you've got your scrolling social proof. So these are the feedback that you've received related to your services. The only thing that I would say as far as these are concerned is
bigger text.
Well, so bigger text would help, but the other thing that would help is understanding what they are for.
Okay.
Because the reason why I say that is because you offer different services. Well, reading through some of these, I can't tell what it was that you did for them to get the reason why it is that they're giving you such a high review.
Interesting. Okay. I think I treated it as more like character reviews about like just me in general, as compared to specific service reviews, simply for a lack of reviews. Right? It's just a matter of I probably need to get more specific reviews based off my goal with it.
Yes, you need to provide social proof, because the more social proof that you have related to what you've done, the more apt people are going to get your services. And that was the thing, like with Darcy Donovan. Exceptional as craft, intelligent, perceptive human being, absorbs verbal ideas with his clients, brings their messages clearly to the forefront. Highly recommend them. I'll be using a service again. What services was it that you provided?
Great question. Right. So that was some of my writing services.
Yes. And that's the thing is like somebody coming to your website, me coming to your website like this, I don't know what that was for. And then I go and I look at your services and I see multiple services listed there. I'm like, okay, well, which ones, what was that for?
Interesting. So if you were going to go about this, then knowing that I have multiple services, how would you like format the reviews? Would you target them towards a single service when writers might be coming to it for, some might be for editing, some might come for ghostwriting?
On your main page, on your main page, you can do one of two ways. I've seen it happen both. One, you can focus in on a single service that you're wanting to promote the most and have the social proof for that. Or you can have your social proof on all of your services on the page like you have here, but where you've got the name and the review, below that would need to be what the service is.
Gotcha. So listing the specific service. Okay. Yeah. That's easy. Okay.
Yeah. Because on the main page, you can, the main page, you can focus in on covering wide spectrum, right? When you get onto the specific pages that are dedicated to those certain services, then you can take these social proof and put those on there directly. And it makes it a little bit easier for them to be able to see that you're getting those reviews.
Do you think it would be worthwhile to link? So let's say I write a specific service like that one for editing or ghostwriting, for example, and then I link that to the editing or ghostwriting page.
If you're showing it as an example, as a part of your portfolio, I would definitely do that.
Cool. Awesome.
Because it would make it easier for them navigation wise, that they can come here, they can read who the person is, what their review is. Oh, they did a great job and stuff. It was ghostwriting, and they click on the link and it takes them to the example of what you did for ghostwriting for them. Awesome. And they can see for themselves, not only did they get the social proof that, hey, this person really thinks highly of this, of Jared's ghostwriting ability, but oh, here, let me read what he wrote and see for myself if what he writes and the style that he writes in is a match for what my vision is for what I'm needing to have written.
Awesome. Well, that's definitely that's very clear and very straightforward. Thank you.
Okay.
I know I have my blog here. I'm actually, I'm really, I know it's like kind of updated. So I'm really appreciating your feedback, and I know that I could probably spend hours with you being like, all right, this. What I want to do is I think let's hop into one of our submissions, because I want to start hopping into some of the submissions we've received.
Yeah,
I think we touched upon a number of really good topics, right? So we touched upon landing pages, we touched upon moving banners. We touched upon a number of areas that can pertain to many different types of websites, which I absolutely loved. So let me, which website should we pull up first? Actually, I think we have Soul here in the chat. Why don't we hop into a Soul submission?
So we'll do Souls first.
Beautiful. Soul, are you here in the stream, my friend? I know I saw you a little earlier, and let's pull your website up.
Okay.
Beautiful. Awesome. All
right. So let's take a look at his. So we'll start here at the top, right? So we've got Pirates, the series. One of the things that it doesn't have is there's not a hyperlink built within the actual logo itself. And most websites have that. And when people come to your website, it's such a common thing that people will automatically, just like I did when I first pulled the website up, I clicked here to go back to the home page and it didn't work. So I had to go over here and do home. Having home over here is great as an alternative, but if you can get this to be a hyperlink back to your home page, then that would definitely make navigation a lot easier for people coming to your website. Over here on the other side, we've got your navigation with your submenus, which is good. It looks to me like the website itself is focused in on the story itself, and it's set up similar to like a wiki from what I can see, because you've got your story, you go into your characters, then you've got a glossary that kind of gives a little bit of information from there. Another thing that you want to take a look at is getting a logo done. And that can be done on Fiverr for like $5-10. But you want to get something, you want to get a logo that's indicative of what you're trying to portray within the series.
And James, if I may ask, I know I've done some research into it. What is the importance of a logo?
So a logo is essentially the setting up of a brand.
There we go.
Right. And so if you're trying to do your website in a way that portrays your series as its own brand that you're wanting people to buy into, having a really good logo is something that is desired. And you can take that to another extreme too, because if you have a logo that becomes known through your marketing, people will want to actually get that logo as a sticker. And it can be a revenue stream for you. If you can set your books, your characters, your logo, and your branding up in a way that that it's recognizable to people and that people want to promote it themselves, you can create an additional revenue stream to create merch around that in order to sell that. So it's just something to keep in mind. Like I said, you can get them on Fiverr for like $5-10. Just get something that matches a little bit better, and then you can kind of take it from there. Going down to the hero image, when we were talking about with Jared's website with the social media at the top, here predominantly you've got a big button for join us on Discord. And so I have to ask, is that what your primary purpose is? Do you want the people who come and land on your website to immediately go and join your Discord, leaving your website behind? So that's a question that you need to ask yourself as you're thinking through how you want to do the redesign if you choose to do that. Again, of course, this is only my advice. You can leave it as is, or you can make the changes, but I wanted to provide that to you. Pirates the series, are you ready? It's almost here. You probably would have a whole lot more success if it's almost here was replaced by a countdown counter.
I agree. I see those countdown timers on websites all the time, especially on author websites.
And the reason why you put a counter on there is that you try to build up that sense of excitement that, hey, it's coming soon and this is when it will be here. So I would say that if you want to do that, do a counter here, replace the almost here. It's just get that. The are you ready? It doesn't tell me anything.
And it looks like Sol is saying my site needs to be updated. The book's already out, and I believe it actually just came out.
See? Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
And so if the book is already out and it's available, then you want to make sure that your calls to action are to learn about the book, learn about your story, and then ultimately purchase the book. Joining the Discord kind of takes them away from that, and it removes them out of the whole process of them learning about your book. So
would you recommend them like linking to the Amazon page or wherever the book is listed?
At the top, no. What I would recommend is the call to action here at the top to be a button that takes them to a book page, whether that be like your story or your character guide, whatever it is that you want to do. I would set up a separate book page on the book that gives them information about what the book is. It has an image of the cover. It gives the blurb that you add in Amazon. You want to make sure that is there so that they have that. If you get any kind of social proof, i.e. somebody reads your book and they give you a favorable review, having that on that book page as well. That way people, when they go to the book page, they can see, oh, these people really like the book, and it will entice them to go and purchase the book. And then what you would do is you would, on the book page itself, that's where you would put the links to buying the things. I'll show you real quick what I'm talking about. So on this page, on this website here, The Learn More button takes them to the books. When they go into the book, it gives everything associated with the book. Here is reviews of the book. And then if they want to buy it, they go here and they can immediately get taken over.
I like that. It gives them the different options.
Yes. So it's part of the navigation. You don't want to, again, on your main page, you don't want them navigating away from the website. You want to keep them on there as long as possible. So navigate them to another part of your website that focuses in and really plays up and shows, makes your book shine. What is this site? It's kind of it's a non-needed question when it should just be a blurb about what the book is, or what the series is, or what the story is. It shouldn't be focused in on asking them a question about what it is. If they're there and you're obvious about it being about a written book or a series of books, they're going to automatically know what the website is. So it
looks like Soul does. It looks like Soul has that. It says the emotional story of Kasai, young man. So it looks like Soul has that blurb, but maybe it's just a matter of just re-editing of changing that titling.
Or even better, taking the information, the home page, this piece here, shifting it to the side, and on the other side of it, having an image of your first book that's there. That it could easily be done just doing a little bit of shifting like that. The moving in the background there does distract the eye. And so you got to be really, really careful about moving video in the background.
So it's not always a good thing to have a moving background?
No, especially when you're talking about having text like this. When you're reading the text, you're seeing things moving underneath because this got a transparency over this gold bar, just enough to where you're seeing movement behind, and it distracts the eye. So it's just something to be aware of, that if you're going to have moving images, make sure that you you keep the text down to a bare minimum. You make sure that the text is extremely large and prominent in front of it, and that you go through the process of putting another layer on top of the video image to darken it further to where it's not as bright.
Are there any like specific examples of like how you would use a moving image to elevate whatever's the front? Is it like more for a video or
so as far as moving images, I usually see them work best and most successful in the hero section. So up above in this area here.
In the beginning. Okay.
Yeah. And it's usually larger, and it allows for a lot more of the image to be shown. I'm not a personal fan of using video. And the reason why is because there are certain things that search engines look for, i.e. Google, is they look for site speed. And when you throw a video on there, that video size is larger than it would be an image.
Okay.
And when you're loading up a website, as a part of that load of the website, it's got to load that video image and all of that data into the browser. And so it slows your website down. So that's another thing that you need to really be careful about, is that if you're using video, I'd make sure it's very small. It's got extremely small file size. Images, make sure that you optimize images. You can use, there's free websites that you can optimize images to make them smaller.
Okay.
And so that's basically what you do, is you want to make sure that everything that you put on the website, image-wise and video-wise, is as small as humanly possible, file size-wise, to make sure that the loading speed doesn't get impacted.
Okay.
All right. And then further down, we've got the about history. So this is talking about the history of
the story. So that it looks like that's the blurb.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so as far as the blurb is concerned, you're talking about, here's the history, it's set into the far future, and then you've got the present. And it's a lot of information. It's a wall of text. And it doesn't look as good on the main page having that. This is really, really good putting on dedicated pages related to the history.
Like the book page, right? Like the one that you showed
Yes.
previous. Can you go back to that? Can you just show that the book page one more time?
Yep.
And I think, and this is just something that comes to mind, I feel like the reason that looks good is because that's a well-known style that feels like something I would see on Amazon. It feels like something I would see on Barnes and Noble. It's just a popular format.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, like, you don't, it goes back to that saying, why reinvent the wheel, right? So if there's something that is known and is popular and is successful on websites, you want to try and mimic that as best you can, because if it's working for them, it's going to work for you. And it level sets the reader's expectations when they're coming to your website.
And so is there a way to do a blurb or to do some of the, like a book section on the homepage to do it successfully?
So when you're talking about the homepage, so like if I go to Kay's homepage here, this is a blurb.
It's basically a paragraph. That's super easy to read.
Yeah, very simple, very easy to read. It shows the books, learn more. And when you go down, it's very short. Everything on here you'll see is very short and very succinct.
Okay.
Because you don't want to go crazy with a wall of text on your main page. You want to make sure that your main pages are very short and concise. Like this here is the most recent book of my wife. And so,
oh, that's exciting.
So this is the blurb and this is the buy now button.
And for those of you, well, I haven't announced it yet. I'm going to be inviting James's wife and her writing partner. We're going to be chatting with them about writing collaborations. How do we create stories? How do we create books with another writer? That's going to be a podcast episode in later July, I believe. So that will definitely be a great another great story.
All right. And so scrolling a little bit further down, you've got the upcoming title. You've got book 1, Pirates Burning Ember. This right here should be higher up because you want to make sure that they know what the book is about, that it's there. You're saying that it's available. And right here, nothing here tells me that it's available. So that's another thing. It says upcoming title, but it doesn't tell me that it's currently available. So you want to
I think Soul recognized that they need to update the website.
Yeah. Just making sure that you stay on top of it. And that's a big important thing when you're an author, especially when you're an author that is currently in the process of working on your books, is that you want to stay on top of the website. Because the thing is that where you are in your book journey, people are not going to know unless you tell them. And the only way that they're going to actually be able to be told, if you don't have a YouTube channel like Jared's got, is through your website. And so they need to know and they need to understand, hey, okay, according to this, the book's not available yet, but yet the book is available. So it creates them wanting to just go ahead and navigate away because it's like, oh, the book's not here. I'm interested in the book. Maybe I'll do that. But it doesn't tell me anything.
Yeah. And I would just see that as like in this in between, any person who goes to the website and they're interested in the book, but like, oh, it's not out yet when it is. No, it's a missed purchasing opportunity.
It is.
That's
very
the
much
way
so.
that I would look at it.
And then the other thing that's missing on this page, that's going to be very, very important, is you have no calls to action for signing up for a newsletter. You've got your email address here at the bottom for people to email you, but nowhere in here do you offer them the ability to sign up for a newsletter. So when we start talking about newsletters, it's very, very important to have a newsletter. And the reason why is because you own that audience.
Mm-hmm. If you have a social media following, let's say you have a following on Facebook or YouTube, you gain thousands, hundreds of thousands followers. And one day YouTube is like, okay, you're banned for whatever reason. Or let's say on TikTok, you have a TikTok following. And then in 8 months, TikTok no longer exists.
Yep.
But with a newsletter, you own the following, regardless of the social media platform. You are not beholden to another company. I believe in newsletters. So
yes,
I'll get back to you, James.
Yeah, exactly. It's all a matter of owning your audience. Because even when you think in terms of stuff like Amazon doesn't give you that information. There's very few platforms that are out there that will provide you with that type of information. There is a platform that for any of the viewers that are there who are interested in writing short form, episodic stories, there's a platform that's out there that you might want to take a look at. And that platform is Ream.
I've heard of Ream. I know the I think what was Amazon, I think Vela is a newer one as well.
So where the difference between where you would have Vela versus Ream is Ream, when they sign up, you get their email addresses.
Okay.
So you're gaining that additional ability to not only provide all of these short stories or these episodes for a series for them, but when they sign up and they start following you, you're able to obtain their contact information to add them to your newsletter. And then using other applications like BookFunnel and Story Origin are really, really good as you start getting to the point where you're wanting to market and promote your book, because you can do newsletter swaps, things like that. Again, if you're wanting to do newsletter swaps, you've got to actually have an audience currently subscribing to your newsletter. So,
James, let me ask you this. So what about, I absolutely agree, newsletters definitely should be a priority.
Yes.
So what about for the writer who hasn't put together a newsletter yet, or doesn't have the time to do a newsletter? As awesome as they are, it does also take time of, all right, I got to do the weekly thing or the monthly thing, got to set it up, I got to do the subscription. So are there any other alternative call to actions that you would recommend as another replacement that might be easier time-wise?
As far as call to actions, if you do not want to do a newsletter, you can always do a call to action to a platform like Ream or Substack. Those are two platforms that are
Substack is another good newsletter type.
Yeah, it's like platform. Newsletter, blog, amalgamation that allows for people to sign up. It's kind of like Medium. Medium's another platform that you can.
Substack Substack has grown in success over the past 5 years, where Medium has had that failed and consistently missed opportunity.
Yep. So those are a lot of different platforms that you do have available to you that you can utilize. So that's one of the things that you can do in terms of calls to action. Outside of that, the biggest thing is that you may not want to do a newsletter, but you've got to take some time, and you've got to really evaluate what it is that you're wanting to accomplish in your writer journey. Because if you're doing it just for funsies and you're like, I'll do that. I may publish it as a book or whatever, but right now I'm just writing for fun, then the idea of having a newsletter isn't really that important. But if you're serious about publishing your book and you're serious about building up and selling that book to an audience, it should become a priority. Just like anything else that you do in terms of for business, you've got to approach this as a business, and you've got to treat everything accordingly. And the newsletter is an extremely important marketing tool that you have at your disposal. And you don't have to do newsletters all the time. You can do a monthly newsletter or a quarterly newsletter. And there are tools that are out there that you can schedule newsletters, and you can sit there and take a whole day and say, oh, this Saturday I've got some time. I'm going to create 20 newsletters for the next 20 weeks. And then I'm going to schedule each one of them each week to go out on a specific date. And then you just sit back and you do whatever you want to, and it's automated. So that's a way that you can do that in order to continue to actually do the newsletter and promote your book and everything to your audiences while not chewing up a ton of your time having to worry about doing those. Because the thing is like with newsletters, if you create a template for your newsletter, subsequent newsletters become extremely easy to do.
And so something I would recommend, I see you dropped another comment. I would like to, but I'm still in school, so I have to prioritize that for now until I graduate in September. Definitely should prioritize your education. 100%.
Exactly.
I know a lot of writers, right? A lot of us who are still unpublished are usually balancing, right? Day jobs, responsibilities, life. Like, then we're like, all right, well, I got to do all these things. I barely have time to write, but now I have to do these other things. What I would recommend is I'm always of the mindset, make it easy. And I know, Sol, you do a lot of fan fiction, I believe. I think what I'm a fan of is try to leverage stuff that you already have created into the format, right? So for you, I could totally see you like creating an easy newsletter, set aside like an hour to write a blurb, an article, an intro, add some of your fan fiction, which you've already done, or maybe do a little like sneak peek of the book, whatever you would go about, throw in an image, spend like 2 or 3 hours doing this. And then there you go. You have an easy first newsletter. Just make it as easy as possible because you are limited on time. That'd be my recommendation.
Exactly. And I completely 100% agree. Just it wouldn't do you justice to not try to do at least something, whether it be minimal to start, i.e. just a quick paragraph at the top of what's going on and where you're at with your book, and a couple of images, maybe a short story that you've already done that you can plop in there for something, to have them read. All of that, schedule it, send it out, and then move on with doing, your studies with your school, because that's an important piece of it.
And so the fact that you're a student, I think also like highlighting, oh, I'm about to graduate, I'm a student, like that would probably also resonate with a lot of other students who are trying to write their books and get them published while also balancing education. So that's very powerful.
And so as far as looking at the rest of the website, you have your subcategories where you're coming in with your main characters and major characters. I would change major characters to like side characters, because when I read it just as a layman, I see main characters and major characters, and I'm thinking the same thing. Villains are completely separate, other characters and info. So I would think, and Jared, you can chime in as well, as far as major characters, changing that, renaming it to, side characters or, supporting characters, something like that.
Interesting. So Sol is saying that they've heard both from their teachers, but I can change it to side. Yeah, I mean, I think so. This is the way I would look at it, and this is just from a writing standpoint of what is the goal of the page. The goal is to get people interested in either my characters, my story, or my world, so that the way they will want to buy the book or follow me. And I think if I have a large cast of characters, which I know we've read some of a good number of portions of your story on the critique show, I would highlight, I think I would just do one. I would do maybe like heroes, because people like to follow a hero. I would do like heroes and villains. And I think that would actually balance well. And then prioritizing like a couple of them. I go back and forth on if I would do like supporting characters. I feel like I would just do heroes and then just like prioritize a couple of the main ones. And I think people are more likely to click on like, oh, I want to follow a hero, or, oh, I want a villain. That's like Star Wars. Like, are you light side or dark side? Like, it's that idea.
Yep. So again, advice for both Jared and myself, you can do what you need to do as far as the website is concerned. Further down, you start going into the different ones. So you got the Burning Ember. You have your blurb related to that. Release date, June 13th. We're the 28th of June. Again, you already recognize that you need to make updates to the website. So this release date, I would replace with a button for buy now. Shifting Flame. You've got the second button, or you've got the second book in the series and when it's potentially going to be. But what's the book about? I would give some sort of a teaser to this. Even if it's like a short 2-3 sentence hook to entice them that, hey, after Burning Ember, I'm very interested to see what's going on with Shifting Flame. Same thing with the Raging Inferno and the Glowing Timepiece. All of them, I would put hooks in there.
James, can I get your opinion? Like a question came to mind. If
Sure.
for books that haven't been published yet, or let's say books are farther in the future of the same series, do you think it would be worthwhile to create like I would say like rough draft images for each of these, even though like clearly the cover design probably won't be done for a year or 2 years. But like for me, I'm like, all right, well, maybe I'll create like I'll use something simple. I'll use an AI generator. I'll create an image, and I'll just use that as like might not finished product or just some type of thing. Do you think that would be more like successful for future books?
Yeah. So having potential images there, the only thing that I would say, the caveat that I would throw to that is that you need to be very, very careful if you're going to utilize AI. And the reason why I say that is because right now, since AI has really hit mainstream, there has been a huge uproar in the creator community, especially around artists and writers in relation to AI art and AI writing. And a lot of them they've adopted, for lack of a better term, purist ideologies related to that. And that if you have an AI generated book cover, whether that is the final or that's just a placeholder, if it looks like it's an AI generated one, it may very well turn people off because right now there's a good point. Yeah. So just, I would be careful about that. I would make sure that you're very focused in on ensuring that the book cover is appropriate. And here's the thing.
Even by just acknowledging a AI generated image.
You can do that. The biggest thing is that the only problem that you'll run into is that they don't know whether or not that AI generated image is your final book cover. So you would have to make sure that you specify that it's not.
Fair. Okay.
I would, if I was going to do book covers, I would do text and an image. So you can go to Canva and you can do a search, just do it like doing book cover. It'll pull up the book cover as a format and then go into images and search up pirate ship. Take that, drag it over there, throw the text of the title of the book at the top, your author's name at the bottom, boom, there it's done. And then that would be your placeholder. You're not dealing with AI generated images. You are dealing with a straight up image that's provided out of Canva or Pixels or Pixabay, any of the free websites. You would just use those, pull in the image, and then do your book cover that way. And then just make sure that you, at the bottom of it, say, placeholder book cover. And that way it's said and done. You've got a book cover there that's indicative, and it looks better. It makes it look like you're actually writing a book from that perspective. The other thing that I would kind of be careful about is when you're getting into additional books, subsequent books, like you've got TBD on Raging Inferno and the Glowing Timepiece. The question that I would ask myself when I'm thinking through these is, am I fully expecting and fully prepared to write all of these books? Because some people have a series in mind. Like for me personally, I've got a series in mind. If it's a passion project and you're going to write it, you're going to write it. You're going to write every one of the books. Everything's fine. But if it's a test case and you're like, I'm going to write this first book and I'm going to see what kind of reception I get, and that's going to determine whether or not I write the rest of them, then I wouldn't be promoting those, because then you're
and
setting.
just to clarify, and I think because I actually know this, Soul, I know Soul is farther into the series. I forgot which book Soul is on, but I believe Soul. I think you're working on book number 2 or 3, I believe. Passion Project. Let's see. Soul said Passion Project. That's this entire series, 20 years in the making.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. If it's a passion project and you know 100% that you're going to go through the entire series, then yes, putting them all here is fine. But if you are using, again, as a test case, and you're like, I'm going to put the first book out, I'm going to see what kind of reception I get, what kind of feedback. If I get horrible reception, I'm just not even going to bother with the rest of it. I'm going to pivot to another series. Then putting this up here level sets expectation for people who may be a fan of the first book that you're going to be writing subsequent books when in fact you're not. So you will turn off a lot of people who may have been fans of your first book. So that's just something to keep in mind for anybody that's watching the video. Just make sure that it is something you're definitely going to do if you're going to add in those books. Another thing that I would look at doing is a story progress.
Yeah, I actually see a lot of author websites use that, where they have the different like rough draft, second draft, alpha reader, editor. Yep, I've seen that before.
Yeah, so here I've got all the stuff here for that, but then I've got story progress for her books. So when you go here, you'll actually see she's on book 3 of 5, Demons and Disaster, where she's at. Book 3 of 3 for The Mage's Dragon. There's the reader magnet. She's replacing her reader magnet with a new one. But it gives story progress. That way, when they're actually looking at your stories and they're seeing, oh, okay, so Shifting Flame is next. Well, where is he at in that? Is he done with the writing? Is he with editing? Is he at beta readers? What kind of things like that? The other thing that I would look at doing is, as a part of building your community, is looking for beta readers and having calls to actions for people to be able to sign up to become beta readers or ARC readers. If you're going to publish your books, those are extremely important. ARC readers are very important for getting reviews. When your book first comes out, beta readers are very important for being able to provide you with very good feedback on your book prior to publishing, on things that you may need to adjust, stories that you may need to tweak, plot holes you may need to plug, that kind of thing. So having things like that. So for Shifting Flame, I would have a progress of where I am in writing the book, if it was my website, and I would have, hey, currently looking for beta readers, and I would have the a button, a call to action in the box for them to be able to click to take them to a contact form. And the contact form can be a Google form. Easy. Do a Google form, link it in there behind a button. They can click on it, go there, fill out the button, fill out the Google form, and then you got yourself a listing of beta readers. All right, so we've got all of that. And then when you get into your characters, you mentioned that you were using AI art here. Again, be careful with it.
Yeah, because I'm like with AI art, I kind of go back and forth on it, because like I think like I know AI art is very subjective right now.
It's just it's a hot button topic.
I think it creates such a great opportunity for low income portions of the project and to keep costs down. But I also recognize, right, that people may feel a way about it. I think like when I think of AI, I think of following kind of what the major companies are doing. Like YouTube, for example, just has an indication of like, is this AI generated? And I feel like that's the way that I would go about it. I think if I'm using something as a rough draft and it's AI generated, like the way I would try to be authentic about it is I'd be like, AI generated rough draft, cover artist pending for final draft or something like that.
And the other thing that you want to do as far as AI art is concerned is run it through reverse image search on Google, just to make sure that there aren't any other ones out there.
That's a good point.
Because if it's identical to another piece of artwork that's out there, you could very well end up getting a letter from a lawyer telling them to remove those items, or you could get sued. So there's a lot to think about and keep in mind when you're dealing with AI art. And you can tell AI art, especially when you look at their hands and feet, it's very prominent with the way the hands shift, or the fingers, or they have too many fingers or too little fingers, things like that. So there's definitely things that you've got to keep in mind.
Wait, so the characters don't have 6 fingers?
That's what I was thinking originally, but apparently there's people that seem to think 5 is enough.
They're just showing us the next evolution.
I tell you. But you've got a good information here related to your character, the age, things like that. So it's kind of a breakdown of the character. Again, it really, really gives me the Wikipedia type of vibe, so that you're creating a Wikipedia for it, which is fantastic, especially when you're trying to develop a world. You want to make sure that you're providing as much information that if they want to come and look, they can come and look and learn a lot more about your characters than what you're able to portray in your books, right? Because limited amount of space, and you don't want a info dump on them as you're writing through to give them a full description. It just gives them an opportunity to be able to find a little bit more about it. The other thing that I would look at in here in terms of your information is a map would be fantastic, especially for world building. A map is something that's very there. Having these, like a glossary, is really good, because if you use any type of words or languages that people don't know because you've made it up, it's a good opportunity to have a glossary there. I would also recommend that you put the glossary in the back of your book too, so that they're not having to actually come directly to the website in order to look up these items. You can steer them here for more, but having a glossary in the back side of your book is something that I would recommend. And if you look at a lot of the authors, the more well-known ones, you'll see that they've got glossaries in the back of their books.
Perfect. Well. It looks like Soulside it is.
Yep.
Awesome.
And then under the more here, you've got your release dates. You've got to check out the link to the ebook here, which is great. It's kind of redundant information to what you had on your story page. The other thing that you want to keep in mind is your buttons, your calls to action need to work. So your contact page, this button doesn't work. So I would make sure that actually goes to your contact page itself, just for ease of navigation, right? On the contact page, something that you may want to keep an eye on and look at is you've got want to ask a question. Here's an email and here's the contact form. And then right below that, what do you think of the site? Which is another contact form.
I like that. I like that you're asking for the feedback.
Yes, but having it on the same page as your contact form is a bit too much.
Okay. Where would you put that type of ask?
I would have that on its own page.
Okay. And
then I would have it on the actual homepage itself, somewhere on here, down towards the bottom where the footer navigation is. I would have it down here at the bottom saying, hey, give me some feedback on the website, or hey, looking for feedback on my website, and with a button that clicks over to takes them to that particular contact form. Having the both on the same one is a lot of information, and it's basically asking them to fill out their information twice, and they're not going to do it. They're going to have a hard enough time filling out the information once, let alone coming down and filling it out twice. And so you're going to get a lot of people that are going to just fill out the top here, and you're never going to get any information here at the bottom. So having those separate is going to be a lot better for a user experience. Your frequently asked questions, you've got your general and you've got your book questions. You've got a single one here. It's great to have FAQs. I would make sure that the FAQs match the page that it's on. So book questions need to be more focused in on book pages. General questions about you need to be focused in on your about page.
Would it be more as worthwhile to just have the page be a frequently asked question page?
Yeah, it can be. That's what I've set up on multiple authors pages before, is an FAQ that they can go to there. So pages that you are missing is you're missing an about page. They right now, as it stands, they know nothing about you, Soul. They know that you're writing a book, but they don't know who's behind the book.
And if there's one thing that readers love, and if to build a readership, they want to follow a person. They want to follow a real writer.
Yep. They want to know that you're real and not just somebody, some book farm off in, China or whatever, that's just churning out books. So they want to be able to get to know you, because the thing is that when it comes, same thing with YouTube, right? Jared, we go to Jared's channel because of Jared. But if he wasn't on there and he was a faceless video channel, it would be a lot more difficult for people to actually get to know who he is, relate to him, and things like that. So there's a method to the madness as far as that's concerned. So having an about page for you would be extremely important and valuable for you to be able to have.
Yeah, it looks like saying Hollow Soul is saying Hollow is intended on having their own site eventually, but I thought there was an about page already.
Yep, no, couldn't find an about page.
Good. And I mean, like this, as a side note, there is a whole growing niche for faceless content, faceless brand. Like there's a very faceless content is blowing up because of the AI, and there's a way to do that, but it's a different strategy.
Yes,
it is a very different strategy that it requires a different approach.
And the thing is like, you're asking them to read your content, so that you're asking them to read your books. Not only you're asking them to read it, but you're asking them to put money forth to do so. And they can gain a lot about who you are as a person by being able to see you, like having a picture of yourself and being able to learn more about you. What is your journey? How did you become a writer? Why are you doing this? What is your vision? What are you wanting to do? That kind of thing.
In my experience, people will generally go, if they make to your profile or your about me page, they'll go to your profile. And then if they want to know more, they're going to go Google your name. They're going to go check out your socials. Be like, oh, is this a real? Oh, what's their socials look like? That's what I've seen a lot in the age of the digital age.
Yep. And the thing about it is, when you start talking about web design, the most visited page for any website is the home page. The second most visited page is the about page.
Interesting. That's really interesting.
Third is the services. Because one, they come to your homepage because they want to know what you offer. About page, they want to get to know who you are. Services, they want to know what you offer them.
Awesome. Well, James, with that, we spent some really good time on Soul's website. Let's hop over to Larissa's.
Okay.
Before we get that, I'm just going to pull us back up real fast. Larissa, we're going to pull up your website now. I know I saw you in here earlier. Just let us know if you're still here in the chat. And I'm seeing if you're here for a response. Let me just throw up, there's a couple questions to you, James.
Sure.
And so I was also saying thanks for all the advice.
Not a problem, Soul. Anytime.
Soul has a really great story. Definitely some really great books. We've read a couple of Soul's excerpts in previous critique shows. So definitely highly recommend checking out Soul's series. And then I just want to touch on, we had a couple questions. Let's see. So Bethany was asking, so let's say I'm a new writer. I don't have money or time to hire a professional website designer. Is there a free or low cost option for website design that you would recommend?
So there's no such thing as a free option.
Right. Usually you're paying like some type of monthly subscription to something, right?
So you're having to pay for your domain name. So that's a yearly subscription that you have to pay. Then you're having to pay for your hosting. So that is a monthly, or if you pay for your advance, whatever the case may be. But it is a cost that comes out. Now, the cost is minimal. There are some opportunities for some free website hosting. I think Google's got some. But the problem is that the web pages are extremely basic, and you're not going to be able to get a lot of value out of them. Because when you start talking about your website is a window into you as a writer, you as a business, you as a brand. And if you go with a very bare bones generic website, it doesn't speak to who you are other than, oh, they're very basic, and it turns people off. So you want to make sure that you at least have the availability and the ability to do that. So I would say you can go through Wix or Squarespace.
And I use a Squarespace for mine personally. And I want to say, I think the monthly fee is, I think I end up paying like $40. I think between the two, between the host and the domain.
Yeah.
Because you pay the yearly thing for the domain, right? Or is the host? I always mix up the two.
Yeah, you
the
pay
yearly
it yearly for the domain.
Mm-hmm. And then the monthly
for
thing. Yep.
And I think you can get, I think the lowest plan on Squarespace and Wix is like $17 a month, $14, something around in there.
And this is literally nothing more than like, think of it like a streaming service, right? I'm going to pay $15 for Netflix or Disney. I would treat it the same.
So you can use one of those two platforms. Those are they're user friendly. They're easy to use. There's tons of tutorials.
Like 100 different options on it.
Yeah. And there's a ton of tutorials out on YouTube that you can go out and watch and do your own site. The other option is WordPress. So you can do a WordPress website. You can go through a wide variety, SiteGround, whatever the case may be. There's a lot of hosts that are out there that you can get your hosting through. And typically you'll pay right about the same amount per month for hosting for those. And then you would use a free theme in WordPress in order to build the website. And again, there are tons of YouTube video tutorials out there that you could use that'll take you step by step on how to go through that. So that's what I would do. The big difference that you would run into related to WordPress versus Wix and Squarespace is that with WordPress, you own your website design. Wix and Squarespace, you don't. So, and what I mean by that is if you build a website like Jared has, if Jared wants to leave Wix or Squarespace as a platform and go over to WordPress, he can't transfer that website. He has to rebuild it completely from scratch.
Yep.
If you're on WordPress, it doesn't matter what host it is. You can start off with SiteGround and switch over to GoDaddy. Doesn't matter. You can transfer it right over and everything's set and done. You don't lose anything. You keep the website. The way the design is, it's yours. And you make the changes and stuff. Maintenance-wise, there's more maintenance associated with WordPress comparative to the other two. But it's kind of a give or take. The one thing that I would say definitely for sure is that if you do have a website, that you stay on top of it. You make sure that it is updated at all times. Security is on there, everything, because more and more I'm seeing websites getting hacked. I'm seeing websites getting destroyed related to, there's a ton of that going on right now. And so if you're not on top of it and you're just like, I'm going to build this website and I'm going to leave it be, you're likely to come back and pull your website later on or get a response back from somebody saying, hey, why is your website got all these Chinese characters all over it? So it's just definitely something to keep in mind, that it's kind of like raising a child or having a pet. You've got to keep it and maintain it at all times. So it's either you're doing it or you're paying somebody to do it. And that's the reason why, like for me, what I offered is I offered managed website hosting. So I do everything. I build your website, I maintain it, I make sure it's updated, I host it. So all of that's together and you pay a monthly fee. So that's how I designed my business this time, to be able to help out authors so that they're not paying multiple thousands of dollars to have a website built if they need to get one done professionally.
And this is a really great time to throw up. So like if you want to know more about James and you want to check out more about what their company does, it's WTC Creatives. I'm going to drop it right now in the chat. I'll drop the website link if you want to check out more about his services. But clearly, as you can see, in the last hour and a half of us streaming so far, like
weren't we supposed to go for an hour?
We're just having too much fun digging into websites. I'm like absorbing everything. I'm like, dang, I gotta go like fix my website right now. Like, I don't want to get hacked now.
All right, so I guess we can start on Larissa's here.
Yeah, and then before we hop in there, let me also do a quick shout out. If you are enjoying the stream, make sure to follow and subscribe. Daily writing streams, daily live events coming for you. And I will be bringing on more guests like James to do more things like this. So if you're enjoying this stream, if you're enjoying this type of format and you're like, you know what, I want more information, more advice, more feedback about websites, let us know. Drop it in the comments.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And if Jared doesn't chase me off, I'm more than willing to come back and do some more of these. But hey.
Oh, James, you're awesome. I could literally like sit here for hours and I feel like I will just keep learning, even though like I'm like, I thought I was doing good.
Still learning. I know nothing. That's the thing.
It's that quote that always resonates in my mind. You know nothing, Jon Snow.
Yep, exactly. Okay, so
we have Larissa here in the chat. Let me pull it back up. Perfect. All right, Larissa.
Okay, so here we start off with Larissa. So we have the top. She's got a top banner bar at the top of it. Now there's an errant vertical line here, and I know that there is a Instagram link here that's not visible. Again, going back to what I said before, is you don't want to put any kind of social media links here at the top, because what you're doing is you're driving your traffic away from your website and over to Instagram. If that is your primary focus and that's where you want your audience to go, then by all means put it up there. If not, if you want them to be on the website and to learn more about you and your books, put those at the bottom in the footer. That's going to be your best bet, because that way when they get down to the bottom of the page, if they want to go at that point in time, they're more than welcome to. So looking at the way she's got her website set up, she's got her logo centralized, and it is a hyperlink back to the home page. And you can tell by the way the cursor changes. And if I click on it, it'll reload. And she's got so she's pulling to a website that isn't hers.
And wait, what did we just say?
So she used to use InMotion hosting. So this is larissabrandt.com. And it is not. So that's her main page. She's pulling to a sub page. Oh, interesting.
What's going on here? So just walk me through. Is it like linked in correctly?
Yeah, so the link here is not working appropriately.
larissabrandt.com.
Yeah.
So on the home.
Okay, so it's working now. So apparently there was some sort of a glitch. Okay. All right, we're good. We're good.
Glitch in the matrix. All right.
Yeah. But again, Instagram here at the top, sub pages, this is actually invisible, but the link is still there. So I would look at your top bar and make sure you do that. Your navigation here in the middle is good. You've got everything separated. It's not centered. So I would definitely look at centering that a little bit more. The other thing is to pay attention to your white space. So right now you've got everything very, very crunched together. So there's not really a lot of white space between here. There's not a lot of white space here. I would expand that out to a little bit more white space between them.
Why is white space important?
It's for readability. So when you're looking at a web page, your eyes are scanning And if you don't have a lot of white space, it starts going down and you start missing pieces. Because when you're skimming something, sometimes you'll miss over something that's valuable in terms of information. So you want to try and, expand that out, make a little bit more white space. And also it's aesthetically pleasing when you're talking about the way the website looks itself, is that you try to make sure that there's enough white space in there. And it doesn't matter, like white space is not exactly white space. It's just the gap between your different sections. You want to have a little bit more to where they're not bumping against each other. The other thing that impacts is when you start going and changing your sizes from a full web page on a computer screen to a mobile, those, because there's such a small amount of space between there, it starts scrunching up even more. And on mobile, they're practically on top of each other. And if you have links in that flow, they're going to be very difficult to click on with the finger. So having additional white space kind of allows for the reading experience to be a little bit more elongated, a little bit easier. And also from a navigation perspective, especially on mobile, because you want to make sure that you're always thinking about mobile when you're doing your web design, because by and far, the largest amount of people that are visiting websites are doing it on mobile phones now, as opposed to computers. So you want to make sure it's mobile friendly. So you've got your information here at the top. You've got your hero image here. Of course, this is a rotating banner. Those are good. Again, as far as feedback is concerned, I would be careful when we're dealing with those. And the reason why is because you're expecting people to stay at the top, and they typically won't sit here and wait for this to rotate fully. So they'll come here, they'll see what's there originally, and then they're going to scroll right down. So they're going to miss all of these other pieces here. And the other thing that you want to be careful when you're talking about rotating banners is allowing enough time for them to be able to read. These are great. Learn more. It's all fantastic. But this one here, there is a lot of text. And it goes off way too fast for them to be able to read what it says fully. So they'll have to wait for it to rotate back around just to be able to read the rest of it. Same thing with this books. And there's no mouse over stop. So my mouse is on top of it, but it's still rotating. So if you can set it to where it stops when there's on mouse over, then that will help out with that. But again, just be careful when you're talking about these. And also I would limit the number of pages here at the bottom. That's a lot because you're talking about 7 different pages. I would do maximum of 3 to 4. So focus in on your most important ones that you want to make sure that you highlight at the top and put those there. Down further, you've got your Birthright of the Stars, Experience the Complete Story. You've got the images of your books here. Very good. You've got the information related to the book, and you've got a call to action here for check it out. And this right here goes to Amazon. So when you're talking about navigation, you're navigating them off of your website at this point. So they're not going to see anything below here. If they come here and they're like, oh man, those look like really good books, let me check it out. They click on that and they're gone. So this right here, your call to actions, anytime with any of these books here, they need to be a call to action to a book page. You want to be able to, you want to drive them into a book page that gives them every single bit of information that you want to provide to help best tease them into a buying decision to purchase your book. And the book pages are really good. And I showed in previous ones what the book pages look like. And they're very similar to what Amazon, you can easily go to Amazon and pull up any of the book pages on Amazon and you can see essentially how they've got those set up. And you want to kind of mimic that because you want to have essentially the same type of experience that they would get if they went to Amazon.
And by the way, James, it looks like Larissa threw up a comment here. This theme has a lot of presets I can't change. So this is tempting me to build my own theme. I know I personally, when I was working on my website, I know some presets have some limitations. Do you have any suggestions dealing with that, or is it just, it is what it is?
Well, it would really depend. So if she's using Squarespace or Wix, she's going to be limited in terms of what she can do because they don't use plugins all that much, like WordPress does. WordPress, there's plugins for everything.
But I know actually for Squarespace, for mine, it gives you the option to add coding on the back end.
Yeah, and if you want to try and do that, then definitely go that route. The only thing you would just be careful about what you do related to coding and make sure that you take as much time as you need looking at tutorials on how to do it the right way. Because you can add in like CSS and things like that on the websites in order to kind of make it look and have that look and feel that you want. But you've got to make sure that you're very comfortable with the CSS because you can really mess your website's formatting up using CSS, the style sheets.
James, it's really crazy. Something that I tried recently with my website was I tried leveraging AI. I'm like, all right, well, maybe AI can create a code for me. So I asked it to create a code and it generates everything based off what I need. Of course, I have to like fix things and adjust things. But for somebody who has like a very like limited understanding of coding at all, I found it very fascinating.
Yeah, I see a comment from Larissa that she uses WordPress. Well, WordPress gives you a lot more flexibility. I would look at the themes. There are some very popular themes that are out there that are free that give you a lot of control and a lot of ability to configure your website the correct way, the way you want it. So I would definitely go and look at the themes that are available with WordPress and just kind of look at some of the free ones. And you can easily get to that by just going up underneath your appearance and themes. And then you just click on new theme and it'll pull up a whole entire smorgasbord of choices that you can use. I would say that prior to selecting or changing your theme out, I would do a search on YouTube for tutorials, WordPress tutorials for building an entire website, because a lot of times those tutorials will use a specific theme. And then that way you know what type of theme that you can use in order to configure it to be similar to what they're offering.
It's very valuable.
Yep.
Thank you.
So again, call to actions, book pages. They're very valuable. And then you get down into your social proof. So you have your social proof here, fan of the Hunger Games, Mockingjay, you're going to love this. As far as the social proof is concerned, I am assuming by here that you've got 2 books out. If that's not correct, please let me know. But if you have more than 1 book out, you want to make sure that your social proof is specific to the book.
Not the entire series, each individual book.
Well, it's like here, if there are 2 books that are there, I don't know reading these reviews what book it is that they're referring to. So if such as like with your services, the same thing is in here, I would put in what the book was as a part of the text at the bottom, book, whatever. The other thing I would do is on the book pages, I would make sure that those specific ones, those reviews that were for that particular book are actually shown there as well, because you want to make sure that if they're on your book page and they're looking at your book, that they're seeing, you're making it as easy as possible for them, and they can see the reviews right there on the page. It helps to increase the likelihood that they're going to click a buy button, and the buy buttons would need to be on the book page. You've got your rich and expansive world. You've got your map here, which is fantastic because you're world building and you've got your map associated with that. And then you go into your characters. And then you have a learn more button here, but the learn more button goes to a link off of your web page. That goes to Amazon.
Goes to buy the book.
Yeah. So it takes you to buy the book. And see, the thing about it is, the other thing that you want to make sure that you do is that you set any links that go off of your webpage to open in a new tab.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Is that so that way they're still tempted to stay on the website itself?
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that if it comes over to here and they can see the book and they go, oh, let me click back over to the website and maybe get a little bit more information. So update your links to open in a new tab. There are settings within WordPress when you're doing these buttons for that specific one. You've got a return to top, which is really good for navigation. Your books here, you've got a book page for this. Your learn more, you've got your book teasers. And so here you've got your book pages set up. So it's really good. You've got your social proof here, which is good. And then you've got your award that you won from the writing of the book, which is really good too, because that right there is all pieces that you can have that help make up their mind as to whether or not they want to actually take a chance and purchase your book. So you did a really good job for this. Again, as far as formatting is concerned, look at Amazon, look at how their book pages are set up, and see if there's any potential that you want to update this with like publish date, things like that. That's what I usually do on the book pages I create for the authors that I'm doing the web design for, is I provide the information, the blurb information related to what their books are about, the amount of pages, when it was published, that kind of stuff. You don't have to, it's not a requirement, but it's just something that I do as added information to ensure that I make sure that their buying decision is made as easily as possible. And the amount of pages in a book does impact buying decisions, because if it's a book the size of War and Peace, they're less likely to buy the book as opposed to a book that's like 200 pages.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
Yep. The next thing is about me. So this is about the author. So this is about Larissa. It gives information. There's a photo of her. This is really good. This gives the opportunity for you to be able to do that. You've got the picture of, I imagine that's your pet bird, which is great. Actually having Hercules. That's really good. For me personally, I would expand that out and make sort of like a row of pictures of Hercules, or if you have any other pets, that kind of thing. Put it there, make it a row across the entire bottom here instead of just a single picture. Just make it a row of pictures.
I agree. I think that'd be more engaging.
Yeah, it makes it a lot better. And then down here, you've got your bottom form, and we'll talk about that here in a second. I just want to go through the other ones. So you've got your recent events and your upcoming events divided into two different tabs. So your recent events, I would rename that to past events or previous events, because this right here, when I read it, like when I first went to your website and I was looking at your website, I clicked on this page expecting to see your upcoming events. But these are past, these are the older events. So you want to make sure that you label it to level set the expectation in the visitor's mind that, oh, these are the past events that I went to. So
I'd be curious what the reasoning behind it is, Larissa, and separating it into two separate tabs of events. Why not just put all the events on one?
That's what I'm used to seeing. Is I'm used to seeing events being on one, being
I'm wondering if there was like an intent behind it.
Yeah, because your upcoming would be at the top. That's the first thing they read, and as they scroll down, they get to your past events. So that's a way that you can do it, and that would actually free up, if you combine those into a single page, that would actually free up your ability to create a different, another page if you wanted to do that. So then you've got your upcoming events, which are the events that you've got coming up here. I would be very careful, again, keeping up to date on your events. This one is a past event. This happened on May the 5th. So And this one's a past event. This one happened on
It
June the
looks
8th.
like that one was a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. So these are things that you've got to stay on top of. Is you've got to make sure that you're not having any past events up there.
And Another thing, I think if I recall, the Comic-Con one was on the homepage. The one that was the next one down. Yeah.
Yep. This one here for August is on the homepage.
Yeah.
And that one is going to be extremely important to pay attention to, especially when you get to August the 26th. If it's still up there on your page, somebody coming to it, it disrupts their experience on your website, because they're like, oh, they're obviously not paying attention to their website because this is a past event. So you got to stay on top of that. Now, another thing that I would do, and I don't know if you do this or not. I've seen other authors do it, but I don't know if you do it. Underneath, as far as your recent events are concerned, here, I would make sure that related to this, that if you take any additional pictures, that you put those on here as well. I would get pictures. If somebody comes up to buy your book and gets an autographed copy, ask them if they want to take a picture with you. Try to drum up that kind of community feel and that community vibe, to where if people are coming to your website, they're seeing, oh my God, there are people that are buying the book. Look at this. Oh, they seem so happy. It's just a way for you to help build that additional enticement for them to buy your book. I kind of jumped over into marketing, but it's all part of it, because the website is marketing. So in terms of marketing advice outside of your website, I would say get pictures with the people who are your fans and make sure that you prominently put them on your website, in order to, one, you make them feel good. Because if they're on your website as a fan and stuff, they're going to be more likely to recommend somebody go check your website out. Oh, hey, I was on such and such. I was on Larissa's website. Yeah, go here, take a look, see I'm on there. It drives other traffic, organic traffic by word of mouth to your website. So it's just one of those things. And the other thing is like, for these, you have those opening into a new tab, which is the exact opposite problem, because this is still your website, but it opened up a secondary tab. So internal links need to be on the same tab. External links need to be set up to go to additional tabs. That way you're not opening up multiple tabs just to look at your stuff. All right. Again, upcoming events, stay on top of that. Press. That is very good that you have a press link. The only thing that I would say is that if you are going to do a press page, that you expand your press page. And what I mean by expanding your press page is, I'll go over to my wife's real quick and I'll show you. Is when you go underneath here under her about, this is her press page. It's her media kit. And when you come here, here's for publicity. This is who you email. There's the bio in the media, social media accounts, how many followers, high resolution images of both her and Dawn, which is her co-author, which you'll see on there. Book cover images, which are high resolution, to where people can do that. If you're going to create a press page, you want to make sure that your press page has everything that they could possibly need and want, in order to be able to provide the information and use that for their press releases, for their articles, for their things related to, if they're doing a podcast episode, they can come here and they can gain information ahead of time. So just keep that in your mind for your press kit. And the interviews that you've been on, having the videos there are fantastic, because people can watch those. Just be careful on these here, because again, while they can click on the play button here, they can play the video. If you have the video player set up, they can play the video in here. But if they click here, they're automatically bumping off and heading into YouTube. So just kind of be careful on that. Last thing we've got is your contact page. So you've got a contact page, essentially is very, very basic, which is great. You don't have to have a whole lot of information on there. Name, email, subject. You don't even really need the subject. Name, email, and message is perfectly fine. The reCAPTCHA is great too, because that cuts down on the spam. All right, now moving down to your footer. Your footer, you need to make a few changes on your footer. This newsletter sign up, I can tell it's by MailChimp because it's branded as MailChimp. I wouldn't have that. I would do a custom newsletter sign up that links to MailChimp. And there are tons of contact form 7. Oh man, there's quite a few of them that's out there for contact forms that you can use, that you can make beautiful looking basic contact forms that you can plug in. And then what it does is it connects up through an API connection to MailChimp or MailerLite, wherever it is that you are currently collecting your email addresses. But using their standard one here, it doesn't look very good, and it's very, very large in terms of it. Your footer is blown out in terms of size because this thing here takes up so much real estate. So I cut that down and make that smaller. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'll make sure that I add that in here towards the end of the stream, the website link to my wife's media page. So yeah, I would make this smaller, make it more streamlined. And then your navigation here at the bottom, it's fine. I would break it up a little bit more and make it a little bit more balanced here at the bottom on the footer. So what I typically see and what I typically do when we're talking footers is I do it like this. So logo, here's all the socials, contact information, site links. So every one of my author websites that I do, they're all about the same. Down at the bottom, it's very small and streamlined. So you want to make sure that you do that with social links and stuff at the bottom. And then down at the bottom, making sure that you have your copyright and everything there is fantastic. That works good.
James, I have a question about that. And just from a design standpoint, I know I see a lot of times with some websites that the creator, the writer, whoever it is, that their images are sometimes placed at the top. Is there a reasoning for doing all the information before the images or vice versa? Or is that just an aesthetic?
It's more of an aesthetic thing that when you, so like take the website here, right? When you look at the website at the top, you've got the logo on the left, navigation on the right.
Okay.
You go to the bottom, logo on the left, navigation on the right. It creates a consistency within the layout of the website, because it's not just about building the website, it's about designing the website. And you want to make sure that the design of the website is in a way that is aesthetically pleasing, easy to navigate, and makes for a good user experience, because that UI UX is extremely important. So that's a way that you can do that in order to allow for to create that consistency, so that it's not jarring for the people when they go through and they start navigating the website.
That makes sense.
Okay, so that's pretty much all on her website here that I've got. Are there any specific questions that you have, Larissa, outside of what you've already asked?
This would probably be a good time. So if you're watching this in the live stream, if you're here in the live stream, welcome. Or if you're watching this on the replay, drop a question down in the comments if you want to know anything either about Larissa, about your website, or of any of some of the website stuff that we've talked about. James has gone over a lot. There's a lot of theory, a lot of basics, a lot of design, a lot of elements that we've touched upon. So definitely drop your questions now if anything comes to mind.
Yep. And you are very welcome, Larissa.
Awesome. So I think that was a really good point. Let's see. Larissa threw up aesthetic colors for a sci-fi fantasy. I feel like my look/brand needs an entire redesign for my genre. I mean, this is probably a great call out, James. So like when
Yeah.
you're designing a website, how do you choose color? Like
So
how do you figure that out?
Yeah. So essentially what I do is I base the color off of what it is that they are wanting to do. When you start thinking in terms of like your books and your brand, a lot of
Mhm.
times you have a specific color palette in mind when you're doing that. Like your book covers tend to follow along the same type of color palette, things like that. And so you try to differentiate your books based on that. My wife just opened up the door. You can come in here and say hi if you want to. Hello. Hi. Yeah. So we're doing website reviews. You don't have a sign. All right. So anyways, back to the color design. What I do is when I'm working with somebody, I typically look at what their logo colors are, if they have a logo. If they don't have a logo, then what I do is I have conversations with them about their colors. What are the colors that they either want to portray or currently portray within their book covers or what have you. And then once I do that, then I can take those baseline colors and then do an evaluation based off of color theory and go, okay, so these are the colors that they're using. Here's a set of complementary colors. And then what I do is I create a guide for them. I may be able to, hold on.
Let's see, are you pulling up a color theory?
Yeah. See.
And for those of you who don't know, or you maybe you've heard about color theory, there is a whole world of understanding why certain colors contrast, certain colors work together, certain colors don't. It's definitely its own topic within itself. It is definitely worth doing a little bit of research, Googling color theory, looking at the color wheel, and really understanding how certain colors work together aesthetically.
Yep. So here's what I provide back. So I provide back a style guide. So with Kay, she provided me an initial logo that she had done, and I went in and I altered the coloring of the logo based upon the colors. So these are the colors that she had gold and she had blue, and then I did the associated or complementary color of the teal, and then I redid her logo. And so this is the logo here on our website. This is the favicon that appears up inside of the tabs. And then these are the colors. And this is the fonts. So these are the two fonts. You want to make sure that in terms of fonts that you only do a maximum of 2 different fonts. I usually do a header font, which is different from the body font. And I make sure that the body font is readable. So a sans body font or a Times New Roman, something like that. She wanted a grandeur. And it's very readable when you go to her website. The header is chapbook, so it's a little bit more artistic in terms of the headers, but they're still easy to read. So this is what I provide back to my clients. And so when you're doing things related to your website, you want to make sure that complementary-wise that you maintain that color consistency across your website. So I provided this to Kay so that if she does any banners or anything like that on her website, that she knows the color palette that she should stay within in order to make it look good on her website. So if you look at her website here, color-wise, everything starts to blend together and it all looks good because we've maintained that specific color palette all the way through the entirety of the website. As far as your website is concerned, you've got good bones to it. As far as redesign, I would definitely look at trying to make this a little bit more along the lines of what you see on other websites. And that's another thing that I do for the authors when I'm doing their website design is I ask them to provide me with a set of websites that have elements that they like. So if there's a specific header that they like, or if it's the hero image is a specific way, I have them send me those examples, and then I look at the website to see what the website's done, and then I go in and I redesign inside of their website to make it match as closely as I can to it. I don't exactly mimic what other websites do, but I do try to make it to where it matches what their vision is. Because that's the big thing is it's all a matter of the vision. If the website gets designed, like I design a website, and it's not what you thought you wanted for your website, you're not going to be happy. And so from a customer service perspective, I want to make sure that you're happy. So I get that kind of information ahead of time of, hey, give me some websites that you really like the layout of. And then I will go in and I will build the website and design it to where it looks similar to those, but it is unique to what they have as far as their author journey is concerned.
Awesome. Well, that was very, very helpful. Let's see. So that was a great question. It looks like Bethany had another question for us a little earlier. Bethany was saying, you could weigh in on this. You're saying, would a teaser chapter be a good add-on on a website? And the summary. Yes. Thoughts on having fan art made? So it sounds like two. So teaser chapter, fan art.
Yes, both.
Would you have either of those on the homepage though? Because I know you're saying minimize text on the homepage.
Yeah. So I would say teaser chapter.
Okay.
I would use that as a reader magnet.
As a reader, okay.
Because you want to get the names. You want to get names for your mailing list. That's a perfect way to do it. Provide teaser chapters. Whether that is you provide, you write a couple of chapters and then you provide that as the reader magnet only, or you give them to say, hey, sign up for my newsletter and I'll send you weekly or monthly teaser chapters for my upcoming book or side stories. That's really, that's something that's really good is, you've gone through this whole entire thing of building out these characters and building out the world around them. And you've got your main characters, and then you've got all these, supporting characters that are there. Well, what about those? Those are beautiful side stories. Take an opportunity, write a chapter of a side story for a character that you really like, that you think may resonate with your readers. Because I'll give you a perfect example. The reader magnet for my wife became a book.
Interesting.
And that book has become a series now.
Wow.
So that's the thing is that it can easily expand your world to where you're like, oh, I'm only going to write this series I've got these 3 books. I've got a trilogy coming out. But then you write one of your side stories about one of your supporting characters and people are like, oh man, I love that character. Can you expand on that story? And that's basically what ended up occurring with my wife.
Wow.
They fell in love with the side characters. And so that's the thing that you can do. And it can lead to more and more books that can be written and published. It's also something that could be really good for your community to kind of give them some side stories, some backstories related to supporting characters, because when we write books, let's all face it, the main characters and the antagonist, the hero and the villain, are the ones that get the screen time.
Yep, that's the truth.
The Samwise and all of the other, the other hobbits, they're there, but there's not much to them. So this gives an opportunity to kind of, if you want to expand that.
I think it's also a great example of listening to your readership, listening to their feedback, and then expanding upon more of what they want.
Yeah, it's kind of similar. It's like writing to market, where you're doing research and you're finding really popular genres, and then you're writing a book to match that genre just so that you can sell books. Same type of premise. The only difference is that the market that you're writing to are your fans. And that just makes all the difference in the world. Because you know, at that point in time, if you're writing for your fans and your fans are on board, they're going to purchase your books. And they're not only going to purchase your books, but they're going to tell every single person that they know, hey, you need to check out this book. And that word of mouth starts going crazy.
Awesome. Well, James, it has been absolutely incredible today.
Yes.
I'm going to let you get going. For those of you who are here in the stream with me, we're going to continue on to our daily writing sprint. I need to get a little farther in Last Scarecrow, but James, I want to thank you so much for today. Your expertise, your wisdom, your insight has been invaluable. I learned like 10 things from my own website and like 30 other things from all the the analytics and review you do. I can just tell from the way that you talk about it, just how experienced you are. For anybody who's here, if you're watching this in the live stream or the replay, once again, James, where can they find you?
You can find me by my website, WTCcreatives.com, and just shoot me a message from there if you want to, or you shoot a comment down in the comments there, and I'll be happy to respond back. Jerry can let me know.
Awesome. I just dropped the website link down in the comments. It'll also be, if you're here on YouTube, it'll also be down in the video description as well. And let's see, Larissa, this is fantastic. I'm already browsing his website. Beautiful. Larissa, your website was really good work on your website, right?
Yes.
Websites take time.
And you've got good bones there. Now it's just a matter of adding on to it. Or you got a good foundation and a good structure. Now it's time to start slapping up some walls and making it really pretty.
Awesome. Well, James, you've been incredible. I'll have to have you back again. This was so
anytime. You got it. Just let me know.
Awesome. All right. Thanks
so
much.
Everyone. Take care. All right. Bye.
All right. So we learned so much about websites today. Oh my goodness. I was like, I need to go back to my own website. I feel like I need to build a new website. Like, oof. But you know what? It's a learning experience, right? And if there's anything that we see from like even the most predominant brands, Disney, Apple, Tesla, like whatever brand comes to mind, they are always updating their website. There's always something new happening with it. And I think if there's anything that we've learned, it's a process, just like storytelling, just like the writing process of our books. We change it step by step because it can be time consuming, right? And if we have the budget for it, then we should hire an expert to do it. Like James over at WCT Creatives, right? If that's part of our budget, then we should absolutely hire out. And if it's not, maybe we don't have the budget for it, or maybe we have the time to learn some of the skills. It's a balancing thing. But I would highly recommend, James, if you're looking for someone to design your website or you're looking for someone to help manage it, definitely check out James at WTC Creative. And also, thank you all for joining me today, for joining us. It has been an incredible experience. If you've gotten value out of today's stream, definitely make sure to follow and subscribe. I am a crazy daily writing live streamer. Monday through Thursday is our casual writing community where we do writing sprints and we chat about writing. Fridays tends to be a toss-up. I've been doing more live events like this, or sometimes I'll do my story time where I read from best-selling novels. And then Saturday, tomorrow, is the story and critique show. So if you want feedback on your story, let's see if I have the story and critique show blurb. So if you want feedback on your story, email me. And you can get feedback for tomorrow's show. I do live readings and live critiques. And then Sunday is the podcast. This Sunday, I'm going to be having on a guest author, author Pat Olney, and we're going to be chatting about mental health. How do you balance mental health with the writing process. Writing takes time. I'm of the mindset it can be made easy and it can be made fun, but it still takes time. So how do you balance the stress, the anxiety, the depression, the joy, the happiness, the resentment, the grief, and all the things that go along with creating these characters, these worlds, and balancing it with the process? We're going to be digging into that on our podcast on Sunday. So make sure that if you're following and subscribing, you'll be alerted when I go live. And with that being said, let's do our let's get into our writing sprint. I'm actually at an incredible point in Last Scarecrow. Let's see what we got. Bethany, let's see, I pulled up your website. Do you actually do from the ground up websites creating? I'm having a little hard time understanding all you do from website. Let's see. So I saw WTC was thanking Bethany. What I'll do is I'll forward this along to James if he doesn't see it. But from my understanding, James, their company does both. So they can either build a website from the ground up, or they can manage pre-existing websites. It sounds like they do all of the different services. I would highly recommend reach out to him. I know he has a contact on his website, or you can drop a comment, and I'll also let James know as well. But all the things, right? And then you could figure out like what would work best for your goals and your budget. Absolutely. Websites are important, right? Like if people want to buy your book, they're going to go check out your website first. Like that's just a fact. And that's a reality of living in the digital age. Bethany, can you create and advertise merch before book is done on the website as an advertised book release? Can you create and advertise merch before book is done? Absolutely. Absolutely. And Bethany, I would once again like highly make sure after the stream or at some point, check out the publishing podcast episode, because Yasmin over with the Writing Ghost, like she actually brought up some incredible points, and I learned a lot because I still haven't published a book, but I know I'm in the process of working towards my first one. I think just from the research I've done, still being an unpublished author, it seems like you want to have as much set up and advertising in the months leading up to your book release. Something that Yasmin shared was that very successful books have all the reviews, they have all the things that you're selling for it, they have all the awareness by the time the book launches. Now, of course, there's so many different strategies, and I think your strategy goes down into your researching, like how you want to go about marketing it, or if you're going to hire a consultant, or what you're going to do about it. There's definitely a lot of different strategies, Bethany. And if you want, definitely feel free to email me if you have like more questions. I would always be happy to provide the insight that I have and or connect you with an expert for anything that's out of my knowledge. And then so you all know, that Last Scarecrow is getting closer to the rough draft. I'm going to take you through not just the editing stage of the Last Scarecrow. I'm going to take you through the publishing stage as well, of what it looks like, self-publishing, marketing, advertising. I'm going to take you through the whole process. I feel confident in my strategy, and I'm still developing it, but I'm going to enjoy it. And we'll see how it goes. Maybe I'll be like wildly successful. Maybe I'll sell like one copy. Who knows? But you know what? It's learning. It's learning, insight, and research. Awesome. And Larissa would absolutely know, especially Larissa, since both of your books are out and published. And I know Larissa did a crowdfunding campaign. So Larissa would definitely be a great one to ask Bethany, especially for merchandise. Let's see. James saying, I do them from the ground up and host them. Ooh, that's awesome, actually. I don't usually host sites that I don't build because I don't want to be responsible for another's design. Awesome. So that's actually really good to know. So it sounds like you could hire WTC to build up the website, deal with the hosting, and basically deal with all the website stuff. So that way you don't have to worry about that logistical aspect. You get to share your preferences, your design preferences, what you want it to look like. And then you, as the writer, the author, get to focus on the one thing that matters: writing a book. That is awesome. Awesome. Thanks for sharing that, James. All right. So with that being said, let's gotta go drop that link. All right, perfect. So for those of you who are here, you know, I got to do my daily writing sprint. Feel free to come join me. I'm going to throw up our music. Let me adjust this. We're just going to do a writing sprint. I have a huge goal. I need to be ready to get through my climax for my story Last Scarecrow next week. So we're going to be doing one writing sprint because we've been going for over 2 hours. We're going to do one 30-minute writing sprint. If you're feeling super creative, feel free to join me. Let's get some writing done. And the writing process can be brainstorming, writing, or editing, any part of the journey. So we're going to do that. Let me pull up my screen. Perfect. Awesome. So you can see I got that up. Or let's say you're not feeling super creative, kick back, relax, because I am at a crazy part in Last Scarecrow. As you can see, we have our pixie character Pebble is fighting for her life. We know that we're at this 80, I think I'm 81% in the story. We got Scarecrow, Pebble the pixie, and Gore the grizzly bear are all in these crazy fights that are going on. So let me cue up the music and we will get started. Awesome, Bethany. And it looks like James is dropping some really good comments down in the chat. Definitely reach out to James, Bethany, if you want to know more. Okay, so let's see. I got 30 minutes on the clock. Let me throw up the music. Perfect. I'm all set on my end. All right. So 30 minutes and it's time to write now.
hero song, destiny to see. Stand and rise, face the dark, light the skies, leave your mark. Eyes on the prize, heart beats hard, dreams to realize, played every card. The wind whispers brave, the stars guide the way, no soul left to save. Time to make in the sky, firing my path. Step by step I walk, facing danger's wrath. Shapes underfoot, winds howling my ear. Dodging every trap, I will show no fear. I am the hero of the element cycle, facing every trial, reaching every fall. Lightning cracks above, roots left at my feet. song, destiny to see. Stand and rise, face the dark, light the skies, leave your mark. Eyes on the prize, heartbeats hard, dreams to realize. Played every card, the wind whispers brave, the stars guide the way. No soul left to save. Time to make
Oh my goodness. All right, let's great job. Woo! Writing timer, writing sprint done. Great work. Wow. All right, and that was wonderful. So I felt very accomplished that time. I feel like I'm making excellent progress with Last Scarecrow. Let me know, drop it down in the comments. Were you able to get any writing done on your own storytelling or brainstorming or editing? As you can see with where I was at Last Scarecrow, Pebble's in a very like crazy position. She was literally on the brink of, it looked like, dying. And then she did the thing. She basically copied what the doll did when she was fighting against her own doll. And she swallowed the ruby rock, which is basically this red powerful gemstone that they've been carrying for quite a while. And suddenly it's like she's a completely different character. Even though she's clearly still like bleeding to death, she acts like literally she's impervious to pain. And she suddenly now has this like firepower. And now that she's dispelled the aura that was trapping the island, she's now facing off against herself, except clearly a better, not quite so hurt version of herself. So we're going to get to see how this scene continues tomorrow. Oof, I am loving this scene. All right. So I'm making great progress. We'll see how Pebbles' scene shapes up. Will she be able to beat her doppelganger? Will this fire magic, this fire gemstone, will it come in handy? Or is it all going to flap back in her face? And we'll just have to wait and see. So that was great, making great progress. Now, as we look ahead towards creative writing on the morrow, let me throw up the right banner. Where was I at? Daily writing sprints. Let's see. I got to queue up tomorrow. So do you have a story that you want critiqued? Tomorrow is the story and critique show. Wonderful. Here we go. Perfect. So creative writing on the morrow. So do you have a story that you want critiqued? Do you want feedback and or a live reading for your story? Then submit it now. I have a good number of submissions for tomorrow. I haven't checked. I believe I probably have about 5 to 7. There was a couple I didn't get through last week. So tomorrow will be a great stream. And regardless of where you're at in your story, whether you're just starting, whether you're done with the rough draft, it is great to get feedback. We have a very active writing community, so you'll also get help from our writing community as well. So make sure to submit the story now. You can send it to my email, Kaufman at Kaufman at the-creative-ghost.com, and we will add it to the submissions. Our Saturday stream, the story and critique show, is always so exciting. So make sure you submit now to for it to be read tomorrow. And if you're still looking for something to watch, let's see what we got queued up. Let's go let's go the reading sprints for storytellers. So definitely go check out in the YouTube description. I'm going to drop the playlist link for some of the highlights from our previous story and critique shows. It'll give you a great indication of what to expect tomorrow. I highly recommend. Last weekend, we had some really great stories. We have so many fun stories, so it's definitely worth checking out if you don't want the fun to be over. And most importantly, tap that like button on your way out. As you're leaving the stream, hit that like button, smash the like button, punch the like button, do whatever it takes, and let me know that you got value out of the stream. Help me show that writing streams are cool. Let's show the algorithm what's up. So that is all that I got for you, my friends. I had a great time today. We learned so much from James over at WTC Creatives. Make sure that if you missed out on parts of the early stream, go back and watch it on the replay. I'm going to add the time code so that way you can hop to the part that brings you the most value. And thank you for being active in the comments. Thank you for being a part of the conversation. I hope you got value out of it. Let me know if you want us to do this type of stream again. If you got value out of seeing us doing the different website reviews off of learning from James, drop it in the comments, shoot us an email, let me know that you had fun. And I'll bring James back for a future live stream. And that, my friends, is all that I got for you today. Thanks for joining me on this journey. It's been fun. It's been real. And I will catch you on the morrow. Don't forget, words are wind, but stories are forever. I'm Kaufman, and I'll catch you on the morrow. Stay creative, right?